Hey, Kids Cook Real Food. Katie Kimball here for the Healthy Parenting Connector, where we strive to connect parents who really want to raise healthy kids with the experts who have the information they need. Today, I get to be your expert, and I'm going to talk about a philosophy called the one thing. Here at Kids Cook Real Food, we've been teaching thousands of kids to cook all around the world for 4 years now, and we've realized that beyond just learning life skills and responsibility, which is why I started teaching kids to cook, cooking in the kitchen for kids really builds connection, confidence, and creativity. It's amazing the benefits that can come out of your kids learning these life skills. But if I had to just choose one of those, connection, confidence, creativity, which one would it be? Well, I actually know which one it would be, but I'm not going to tell you. But I was reminded about this philosophy of the one thing last fall when we shared an interview with Michelle Ann. She talked about, and her whole interview was about being a calm mom, raising mindful kids, and like a really unique twist on discipline that really challenged my brain. And one of the things she said was that when she gets up and looks at her day, she does not look at her whole to-do list for her day, because that like overwhelms her and kind of makes things feel like maybe they're going to be too big or too hard. And I thought, well, yeah, I get that. Like I do get overwhelmed when I look at my whole to-do list, but like, how do you not? And she said she just chooses one thing, the one most important thing to get done for that day. I'm like, oh, I don't know how that would work. But it did make me think of this philosophy, and this is sort of in business and productivity. There's a whole podcast, and I think there's a book called The One Thing. And the idea is that you choose what you do first based on the one thing that will make the biggest difference and move the ball forward in the biggest way for your business. And I thought, Michelle Ann really made me wonder, could we apply the one thing to our parenting? And I thought in two ways, both in like our practical day-to-day life and our to-do list and our productivity as like home managers, but also can we apply the one thing to how we think about our kids and where we want them to go and how we want to raise them and how we discipline. So like both the productive and the philosophical. And I think we can. And another thing that Michelle Ann said is that she has like the one biggest goal for her kids is that they learn to trust in themselves. And she goes on to talk about all of that. And I'll link that in the comments right now, but if you want to hear her interview, but listen here first and then go hear Michelle Ann. She's fascinating, really challenging to my mind. So let's think about the one thing. What would that look like? Like if I don't think I could possibly just choose one thing that I need to do for my whole day. Although the idea again is that you choose the one thing you do first, and then you do that one thing first, and then you choose a new one thing. What's the next most important task that's going to move your ball forward? So for me, for today, quite honestly, it's on my mind right now that I have beans soaking for soup for dinner. And I have a meeting in an hour and 21 minutes. In that hour and 20 minutes, the one thing that I need to do that will most move my family ahead is to get those doggone beans cooking. Because if I get to the end of my meeting at 3:30 and I haven't cooked the beans yet, dinner is going to be late. Bedtime will be late. I will be stressed. I will be cranky. I will turn into a pumpkin at 8 o'clock and I will not be a nice mom. So as ridiculous as it sounds, the one thing that I have to do next is to start cooking beans. And then once I have that done, right, don't do the 5 other things that you see on the way to the kitchen, Katie, because you're going to be distracted. Once you get that one thing done, then you can think about the next one thing, which is probably going to be eating lunch because I'm hungry, right? But I guess maybe you can see how that could de-stress your life a little bit if you can just think of the one thing. And I would like to encourage you as busy moms, busy dads, busy home managers to go to bed having already planned your one thing for the next day. Like obviously this doesn't really count. Like you got to feed the kid, you got to feed the kids, you got to pack the lunches. Like there are just daily tasks that happen. But we also definitely have that separate to-do list, the to-do list of the things, the calls we need to make, maybe the big cleaning tasks we need to do, the errands we need to run. So can we think of like the one thing that's most important? This will also give you that feeling of success. Once you get that one thing done, you get a little bit of a hit of dopamine of like you have had that success, and that will propel you forward to do the next one thing. And hopefully by the end of the day, you can look back at your day and go, oh, sweet. Like I always get to the end of my day and I'm like, ugh, I didn't get done everything I wanted to get done. My to-do list just got longer, and it just, what a stupid day that was. Okay, I don't always do that. I'm not that cranky, but sometimes I just feel like the day is gone. Like I just wasted it. Like, what did I do? I didn't get what I wanted to get done. And it's probably because I have these long, well, okay. Yeah, this was yesterday's to-do list. Is it anywhere close to being done? No. Here are 2 from last week. They're only like half crossed off. So I only feel half fulfilled. I only feel halfway happy with myself. So it's not really lowering the standard, but it kind of is. It's like lowering your expectation. Like, let's get one thing done and then move on to the next thing. So I'm trying this. I'm going to try this today as I'm thinking about this concept. But also, okay, so that's the practical. Hopefully that's a little bit of a helpful idea, philosophy that you can like approach your day and feel a little better about yourself. It's good for your stress, you know, if you feel better about your day, right? But also, I think parenting in and of itself, parenting is not just the daily tasks we do, the errands we run, the lunches we pack, the laundry that gets done or doesn't get done. Parenting is this massive task that lasts for 18 years and beyond, where we're raising healthy, independent adults. Hopefully we're raising adults in some way, shape, or form. So what if we applied the one thing to parenting? What if when we're disciplining our kids, or when we're interacting with them, or when we're choosing how we spend our time with them, we had the one thing in our minds? And again, for Michelle, she wanted her kids to trust themselves, because she said that's going to just help them deal with the world and be more relaxed and be confident and be leaders. And I'm still pondering my one thing. I always go to ice cream shops and I'm like, can you get 2 flavors on one cone or in one dish? Yes, you can. Okay, great. I'll stay. I always want to make both and choices. But what if I had to distill parenting, my parenting goal, down to one thing? Do I want my kids to be independent? Do I want them to be responsible? It's kind of the same thing. That could be a both and, right? That could be one thing. Do I want my kids to be faithful? I mean, for me, yes. I want them to be faithful. So am I making parenting decisions? Am I making decisions about how I spend my time with them to show them that I want them to be faithful to God? Or am I getting worried sometimes about their academics and their grades or their politeness, or you know what I mean? Like, I just think that could really change your parenting. I would love to hear in the comments, you guys, if you had to choose one thing, one goal, one trait that you could pass on to your kids, what would it be? And again, I'm not saying to live your life from this one thing, but that one thing is first, right? When we discipline first, if you want your kids to be loving, your discipline needs to be loving first. And then you can have your next one thing, if that makes any sense. And again, I don't know if this can apply to parenting perfectly or not. The idea in business is that you do your one thing, you cross it off, and then you move on to your next one thing, and you try not to get distracted by anything that might be down further in the list. So I think it does apply to parenting in a way, because we can get so distracted by our own brains. We can get distracted by other people's expectations of our kids that sometimes we do forget our big goal or goals for them. So share in the chat, share in the comments. What is the one thing that you want for your kids? Do you want them to be healthy, independent adults? Do you want them to be generous and giving? Do you want them to be polite and obedient? I don't know. But if any of those are your one thing, and look, I did like all of them were both and. See, I'm like a 2 flavor on every ice cream cone. If you have your one thing though, how would that impact the choices you make throughout the week? The things you say yes to for your kids, the things you say yes to for yourself. It's going to challenge me this week, and I hope it challenges you. And it's just a little nugget that I think we're always trying to improve as parents. right? We're always trying to improve our organization. Well, I am. I don't know. Maybe you're there yet, but I'm not. I'm always trying to improve my organization. And I'm always trying to dial in my discipline so that I don't lose my temper, so that I'm happy at the end of the day, looking back and thinking, yeah, you know what? I really did do my best. And obviously I still will make mistakes, but I want to feel like I did my best effort. And so to do that, I have to be intentional about my parenting. So that's your task this week, is think about and talk with your spouse about what's your one thing, your one goal for your kids. And then maybe that's your one thing task, right? What is the one task that will make the biggest impact in your family life and in your parenting? And that is to have that conversation before you go to sleep tonight and to write it down somewhere so you remember it, your bathroom mirror, whatever it is. And then you can think about, as you're going to bed, or hope ideally before you get in bed, right? You should think about your one thing that you must get done tomorrow to move your family life forward, but always parenting from the place of that one goal that you have for your kids. May that thought go with you this week. May you ponder it like I'm going to be pondering it. I'm Katie Kimball from Kids Cook Real Food for the Healthy Parenting Connector, and we will be back next week with, I don't think it's an interview next week. I don't want to say. Almost always we're interviews, or we're experts who have the information you need to really raise healthy kids. But about once a month, my kids get to jump in and show you a little bit of food. That might be coming up next. I know we've got one coming in February that my son Paul is video editing on, because he's learning to be a healthy, independent adult by working for me in video editing. Anyway, I digress. I'm Katie Kimball from Kids Cook Real Food for the Healthy Parenting Connector, and I will see you next week. Answer in the comments, what is your one thing for parenting?